is it?
No, it was he's passed the concussion test, but he's been sent off for some scans to just further assess whether there is any damage in the jaw. So, we'll wait and see what those scans come back with, but we're hopeful that he'll be okay. But first and foremost, he's passed the concussion test. Now it's just a matter of the scans.
Do you make an equation, because we're actually talking about it with letting runners go back, you wouldn't have had a batter on standby. But do you consider that when you do that? How
Yeah,
does
I
that
mean,
play out?
we consider the risk when we release players, and I think it's about 0.5% chance in terms of a concussion happening. So it was ironic that the first time we've let a player go back during Big Bash that there was a head knock. So fortunately enough, the game was in a position where we thought that it wasn't going to be a higher risk than necessary. So we're happy for Renners to go back and perform for the Heat.
What would give you further thoughts for that decision next time, whether you do it again?
You always consider it and weigh it up, and each decision's in isolation. So, it depends on the circumstance, what day it is in the test match, where the test match is at, how far it's progressed, and those types of things. So, we usually carry around 13. We went to 12 in this case. We also did that with Scott Boland as well. So, we feel as though we've got flexibility when we need it to be able to release players, and we like seeing players play.
Probably not the best sample size, but what did you think of the revamped batting order? How did you think it worked in the limited time it had to bat?
Yeah, sample size of one's always difficult to judge. We're comfortable with where it's all landed. We feel as though that top six and the way they complement each other gives us the best opportunity to maximise. And we're very comfortable with Smudge at the top of the order, and seeing Cameron Green back out there in the field with ball and bat in hand was great to see also. So we're optimistic that that'll work, and I suppose hindsight will tell us everything.
Was there any moving parts in there that you hadn't anticipated, like prep for batters and things like that you hadn't foreseen before they played out in the match scenario?
No, not really. I think the preparation for all the batters is pretty thorough. Most of them face new balls, so Smudge's preparation looked like it normally did. I suppose it's more just the connection of Usman and Smudge over time. We've seen Davey and Usman's connection and the partnerships they've been able to produce. That'll be how we judge it, how that partnership functions, and they're world-class performers at the top of the order, and we think that Steve Smith's one of the best problem solvers in the game, and we've said that leading into this, and it makes sense for us that he's at the top.
Is there any concern, given you've got to face a new ball, how far he gets across? He's playing a ball 6 inches outside his off stump. He doesn't need to play.
Yeah, I think there's an element with, in particular, Joseph, if you're referring to that. Sight unseen is always difficult for batters when you haven't seen someone and got used to their rhythm and the cues that they present. Sometimes you do get drawn into shots that potentially you don't play, and we saw that with Martins as well. I think it was maybe his second bouncer, and he probably didn't have the cues, and it rushed him a little bit and brought about his demise. So we feel as though now that there's less unknowns going into the second test match, we've had a good look at them. A lot of those little decision-making errors that may have crept in, I think, will line themselves out.
How much had you looked at him? I know it wasn't clearly much cricket he played, but how much footage did you see him?
Yeah, a fair bit of footage. Obviously had the CA11 also, which gave us a good look, and the information that come back from players within that game and coaches. So you do as much as you can, but there's nothing like actually being out in the middle and facing them. So it's a difference between looking at footage and the cues that you get out there.
Hopefully this eventuality doesn't eventuate, but if, given this is 24 hours down the track, but if was to be ruled out, would it be as straightforward as Renners would come in, and then we should then be looking at an extra bat?
We'll just assess what it looks like for us. He's not out at the moment. We've got a squad of 13 that's been announced for Brisbane, and then we'll make decisions from there. So until he's ruled out, then we don't have to make that decision.
Are the wickets getting a bit too spicy in Australia? Has the balance just shifted too much in the bowler's defence?
Yeah, it's a great debate, isn't it? I mean, the wickets have offered more for, in particular, seam bowling, and this wicket out here had a little bit of variable bounce as well. So I think it's definitely evened up. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think as long as you're coming to a venue and it's showing consistent traits as a home team, you're happy with that. But we're encouraged by the seam that we get. You're never out of a game. Even if you're in front of the game, you've got to be really diligent in making sure that you maximise that position. So I think it keeps everyone interested. This game probably sped up a little bit quicker than what the fans would have liked and what probably the players would have liked. But in saying that, I think it was a balance. You earned your runs, and you still had to work hard for your wickets as well. So I thought Josh Hazel was outstanding as well. I think when you put the quality of our attack onto a surface like that, it's always going to be difficult for any opposing team.
David Hoff spoke to Fox this morning, but for you about some of the ball tracking data you have and what his thoughts were on this perhaps being a little bit drier and not quite getting this right. Have you been talking to him about this track and how you guys felt in play?
Yeah, we probably shared a little bit of how we sort of critique tracks and get some context around how your team's travelling. And we thought it was difficult for batting first 2 days, and sometimes you look at the scoreboard and it's 5 for 144, which where we're at, and you put into place what you're seeing in terms of the data that's coming through, and you understand that's not easy for batting. So that just gives us an understanding of how difficult wickets are and what's happening with the ball, and also from a bowling sense, it gives us information to be able to maximise an area that potentially has some inconsistencies or some extra bounce or some extra seam movement. So this was pretty simple to us. It suited our lengths and we didn't have to shift too much.
Does it?
So I was just about to say, there's a lot of talk in the West Indies camp about how they can play as interesting test cricket rather than playing franchise T20 cricket around the world. A, I guess you don't have that problem here in Australia, but B, big picture, do you have any thoughts on what the ICC, I mean not necessarily Cricket Australia, can do to remedy that?
Oh, it's difficult. I mean, the creep's happening. There's a lot of leagues around the world. We like to think our test players are interested in playing test cricket because they like playing for their country, and I think that's first and foremost. If you like playing for your country, then you're going to put your hand up to play, and we've got some white ball players that are in that boat where they've got some choices to make, but at the moment they're choosing to play for Australia. So for us, it's as simple as keeping our environment one that people want to be a part of, and if you can do that, I think you maintain the core of your players. Potentially, if it's not a great environment and the experience is not great playing for your country, then you may choose alternative options. But the scheduling is going to be tougher and tougher going forward. So there needs to be some thought given to it, how it's all balanced and how it all works together. I'm not sure of the answer. I know the problem, but I don't know the answer.
Does the bowling loads, or lack thereof, for Quicks this summer mean you could potentially play with those two T20 series, 20 now and New Zealand?
We'll give some thought to that. There'll be some that may play and there'll be some that might not play. So yeah, I think we'll look to announce our T20 team early next week. So there's clearly the one-day team's been announced. So has it been announced? Hasn't been announced. The one-day team's been announced. Yes, there we go. Dan's doing that as well. I'm taking a break. You got a hold of that. So thanks for letting him know that, Cole. No. There'll be some that play in the T20 series and some that don't. Yeah.
Just back on runners, regardless of Usman, do you have to make a decision on his availability if he have to play Monday and Wednesday about how he prepares for the test match, given he'll be in the squad regardless?
Yeah, I think the information that comes from Uzi will then dictate how that sort of unfolds. I suppose the positive for the Brisbane Heat is that the final now will be on the East Coast somewhere, which makes it probably time friendly to be able to potentially play in a final. If it was on the West Coast, it would be much more difficult.
Would the T20 squad be for both the Windies and New Zealand? The same squad, you think? Or?
No, it'll be a different squad, yeah. So we'll look to potentially be at full strength for the New Zealand series. We've got 6 games before the World Cup. A lot of the World Cup planning's in place at the moment, but yeah, we'll try to be as close to full strength for the New Zealand series as possible. West Indies series slightly nuanced.
So you'd expect Warner to play in both of those series?
Yeah, Davey will be picked, yeah. So he'll come back from the ILT 20. I think most of our players that are going over there are due back in on the 7th in preparation for the T20 in Hobart. So Davey will be part of those plans.